Elevation 4,127, population 3. Welcome to Poker Creek, Alaska. Hey everyone, welcome to Notier's Frontiers. In this series we go all over the world on our KTM 1190 motorcycle. We ride 2 up and we've been through the Americas, halfway up through Africa.
Yeah.
And now we are headed to the top of Alaska.
Indeed.
And in the last episode we just arrived at a place in the Yukon in Canada called Dawson City. Actually, we'd looked at a campground that was right before Dawson City, but they didn't have any water. They weren't next to a creek, river, lake, anything for a water source. And in order to cook dinner that night,
and
we
to
needed,
wash dishes.
Yeah, we need
survive.
water.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were kind of out with our water bottles from the day's ride, so we decided to head on. We got to Dawson City and we saw that there was a campground in town.
Well, it was before town, and it was an RV park, but it had like a laundromat and bathrooms and a little general store, and most importantly gas, and all the amenities we'd really need. But like, it was kind of full.
Yeah.
And it was what, $30 or $40? I think it was $29.99, so $30.
Yeah.
So not crazy, but it was like a parking lot.
And part of the problem was that it had some very nice sites, it had some lawn areas, but it was full. We had arrived really late. I mean, the day's ride was super long.
$30 for a crap campsite in Dawson. Not fun.
And if you guys remember, I started not feeling well in the previous episode. So that day's ride, I wasn't feeling 100% at all. And by the time we got there, it had been such a long day and we'd been riding for so long and everything was filled up. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need a place to sleep.
Marissa said, I don't care. I don't care if it's a garbage can, but we're stopped. Where we're sleeping tonight.
I hit a wall. I was like, no, Tim, we are not looking for any other places. Like, this is it. We're going to find a place right here, right now.
This is sick, so...
Yeah. You need something.
And the little attendant guy was cool. I told him, I was like, dude, we both know that I'm giving you $30. to camp on a piece of land that is not a camping spot. It is a spot to
Parking
camp.
spot, yeah.
But, you know, I said, well, that's what we got. But then he saw us digging around and he saw me eyeing this other section of lawn. He's like, well, I guess you can camp over there too. I'm like, well, thank God, because that's an actual camping spot. It's got
Yeah.
grass and it's got a
So nice.
table. It's not, you know, so we
Yeah.
did get a little bit of an upgrade.
But we found a better campsite.
Yeah.
Set up, we're next to a creek that we could, you know, would drift us to sleep. So
Yeah, he was super nice about it. Otherwise, the other spot was like just mud under a tree.
Yeah.
And it was not ideal.
no.
Not fun.
But, you know, things work themselves out.
How you doing there, Junior?
So, I have been sick all day. It started last night. I had a sore throat, and it was really hard to sleep. It was a beautiful day, but it was cold. Just shivering. Thank God for our heated gear. I don't know what my sickness is yet. We went to a pharmacy and got some throat lozenges and also COVID tests. I don't want to take it prematurely because I don't want to get a false negative. So tomorrow I'm going to take the test and see. I've been staying away from people as much as I can. It's pretty easy to social distance when you're on a motorcycle in the Yukon. There's nobody except Tim, you know. I don't want to get him sick because if he gets sick, then it's a big halt to our trip for a little while. So I'm gonna try to go to sleep and get more sleep tonight than I did last night, and hope I feel better tomorrow. Wish me luck.
I would say that I got a good night's sleep. Marissa's still feeling like poop.
Yeah. Good morning. I am sick. I don't even know if you'll be able to hear me. My voice, my throat. Oh, I'm pretty sick. It's hard to travel and be on the road and be sick. Normally we're in countries where it's cheaper, so we can stay in a hotel for however long we want, not really worry about it. But here it's just out of our price range. I'm also going to take the COVID test today. I think it's been enough time to get an accurate result. If it is COVID, then camping is the best because I won't be in contact with other people except Tim. Poor Tim. This is one of the problems with life on the road, is when you're feeling down. It's hard to not have a home to go to with friends and family who can help you and take care of you. I'm just thankful I have Tim, but hopefully he doesn't get sick. I woke up the next morning feeling like, all right, you know, I'm still sick a bit, but today's journey is going to be good. So I was full of hopeful spirits and the weather was awesome. So 4 exciting things are supposed to happen today. First is that we are going to go on this awesome road called the Top of the World Highway. Other people usually just call it the Highway in the Sky or the Highway to the Sky, which I think is really cool. It's supposed to go along these mountain ridges, so it should be very, very beautiful. The other exciting thing is that we're going to be crossing into Alaska. Yay! Finally, this has been our end goal for many, many months now. We've been dreaming of this for a very long time, and so finally, it's going to happen today. The other cool thing is first thing in the morning, we're going to be taking a ferry, and it is to cross from one part of Dawson City to the other part. And the last thing is that you can see the weather today is gorgeous. Despite the fact that I feel a little sick, it should be a fantastic ride.
It was a really cool little town.
Yeah.
Had like a weird Western vibe to it. That
It
they did
did.
on purpose, but it wasn't too overly tacky. It was nice.
I mean, it's a historic place too, you know, they
Yeah.
weren't just making it up.
Yeah.
And you actually can't get from one side of town to the other without
Yeah.
taking a ferry.
Dawson City to West Dawson.
That's right.
Yeah.
We went over to the ferry.
Where you want me? Our own private cruise.
Yeah. In the beginning of our trip, I really liked ferries.
I still like ferries. This one was like I could have threw a rock across the river we crossed.
Yeah, the river wasn't very
This
big.
is like a $5,000 bridge that they could have built.
Yeah, they
You know?
totally could have built a bridge.
But it's just a little ferry that goes back and forth. Traffic coming from what, west to east, or from West Dawson into Dawson, was this line of nightmares. And we were the only motorcycle, we were the only vehicle lined up to go the other way.
Going
you know?
from east to west, yeah.
It's only like probably one big vehicle allowed at a time, and then
Yeah,
a couple smalls.
it's a long line. So we dodged that bullet.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
But we got our
coming back the other
personal
way.
ferry. It's free because it's part of the highway system.
Yeah,
So we had our
it was awesome.
personal escort across the river into a new land.
And that is the beginning of the top of the world highway.
Yeah. Like we hit dirt, which is cool. We didn't get very far up, and then there's like this little cutout silhouette building thing that
Yeah,
says "Welcome to
cute.
Dawson." I pulled over and got some cool pictures of that because it was romantic, whatever. I don't know, it
Right,
had a cute charm to it.
Yeah, the history of that area was really coming through with that little cutout.
Yeah, it's a good cutout, folks. Oh my God. But yeah, I was just glad to be on dirt and gravel and to start going up in elevation and seeing fields, or not fields, but just views, vistas.
Vistas,
Yeah, good word,
exactly.
vistas.
Woo.
Nailed it. And that was really cool. Like, it's all beautiful, right? So I'm not like, we saw bears in BC and we had a good time in Yukon. But like, it was a lot of tunnel vision going on with trees. It's just horse blinders and kind of, video game-esque, like you're playing Doom. It's just the same hallway.
The same hallway. Yeah. So this highway, actually we found with all the highways in both northern Canada and Alaska, kind of go by their names. And this highway was Top of the World Highway, but some people call it Highway to the Sky, which I think is also a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
It really is a very fitting name because it goes kind of along this ridge line where you can just see down and you can see valleys and then you see distant mountains on either side. Beautiful.
It was really cool. My soul was able to open back up again. It just felt like there's more air to breathe in.
And one of the coolest things about this road is that it leads into Alaska.
Ah, this is true.
This was our destination. To get to Alaska just felt so momentous. This is the top of the world highway, and it really lives up to its name. So we pulled over to this vista point and we're just taking pictures and enjoying the views and having a little snack. And I'm like, wow, there's a building. I mean, we feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. What is this building doing there?
Well, I thought it was like a sawmill because there's in the forest. It could have been 1,000 different things.
Could have been like a mine or something like that.
Yeah.
But it turned out it was the border.
It was the border building.
So we just stopped to take some pretty pictures of the beautiful views. But apparently, there's the U.S.-Canadian border. We're pretty close. It's just a little building in the middle of nowhere. So we were crossing into a new country, our own country. So that was really exciting. And it was Alaska.
It was Alaska. It's the town of what? Poker Creek?
Yeah.
Population of 3. All right, I can only assume it's the Canadian border official and then the American guard, and they probably like mutually share a dog.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the 3. And so we came rolling up, and no one ahead of us, no one behind us. Very efficient, one-man job of checking to make sure we were good. I asked the guy where he lived, and he said there. I was like, dude, there's no way you ride freaking 4 hours to and from work every day. You
Exactly.
know?
He just has to live there.
Yeah.
Elevation 4,127. Population 3. Welcome to Poker Creek, Alaska.
And we officially made it into Alaska, Ma.
Yeah. Woo! So Alaska is the 49th state to be admitted into the United States. It became a state in 1959, so not that long ago. But originally,
Nerd alert.
it belonged to Russia. And, well, originally it belonged to the First Peoples, Native Americans.
First Nation.
Yes. Later on, it was taken over by Russia, and then the U.S. purchased it in what year?
1867.
1867.
I was just previously told that. That's not a fact that I knew. She said, Tim, remember 1867? And to be honest, I'm not even sure if that's right.
We think it might be right.
Did I remember a number?
1867, yeah.
Heard it here first, folks. that was a praise the Lord moment. That wasn't a high five, but that's okay.
But we purchased it for $7.2 million from Russia at the time, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a long time ago. Yeah. So you'd think it would be, a vast amount of money.
$1 bazillion.
But no, it's only like 140. Oh gosh, it only is $140 million by today's standards. So 2 cents an acre, pretty incredible.
Good deal. If you were,
a good deal.
Zillow was around back then, you would have got a good deal.
So we entered into Alaska, and it was more of this gorgeous top of the world highway beauty.
Yeah.
That evening, we found a campground. It was...
A lot of people told us to go to Lake Chicken and how cute and quaint it is, but, again, Marissa wasn't feeling all that awesome.
Wait, hold on. There is a town called Chicken.
There's a town called Chicken. Pump the brakes.
So we were headed in that direction.
We were headed to Chicken.
But we stopped at a campground beforehand.
We chickened out. Marissa wasn't feeling good. And there's all these recreational, spots, camping areas, the self-pay fees and rah-rah. And sometimes even in these remote places, there's like a campground host that's like the dude from Indiana Jones that's protecting the Grail. It's like, why are you here, dude? It's like, choose your campsite wisely.
This was pretty remote.
It was so remote.
So first night of camping in Alaska, and we are back in the USA. There is this awesome little pavilion here, and it's reserved for motorcyclists just like us and bicyclists.
We like to be by rivers because free water.
And this campground was amazing.
It was amazing.
And we have bear boxes. That's always my number one concern is there going to be a good place for us to store our food overnight? So I feel very confident about this, and we're going to set up tent right underneath this. Should be beautiful.
And like the campsites were like, you know, spaced hundreds of feet apart, you know, instead of like the sardine
Exactly.
can we were in the day before.
And not only that, but they had a special designated area for motorcyclists or bicyclists.
Yeah, with a bear box,
bear box
and a
and
little
a shelter.
gazebo.
Yeah, it was so nice.
It was
How
really
thoughtful.
nice. It was very thoughtful.
Alaska.
Who gave you flowers?
Well, this guy I really like gave them to me.
And
This one right here smells like honeycomb.
But before we got into the States, in Canada, we stopped at a pharmacy because Marissa wasn't feeling well, and she got a COVID test because
I purchased a COVID test.
well, it was free.
And then brought it,
was
with us.
free, and
That's
yeah,
right.
they gave us 5 once in Canada, which was nice.
That's right.
And I kind of poo-pooed Marissa because, like, every time she sees like a spider, it's a black widow, and every time she has like a lot, you know,
Oftentimes a black widow.
and if it's brown, she's like, well, it's a brown widow. She's got a girl who cries wolf syndrome sometimes, but this time, the girl who cried COVID, she actually took a test, and boo.
I got some bad news, but that will all be in the next
Uh-oh.
episode.
What is the test? The world needs to know. I don't even know at this point.
We will elaborate all in the next episode, but I hope you liked this one. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below.
Ding ding.
And we'll be seeing you next time.
And thanks to all of our Patreons and
That's right.
everybody who supported us as we meander along
Yes,
and
thank you.
giggle and laugh about the books I've written. It's a nice family feeling. So thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Peace. And then after the ferry, it was majoratively.
I don't even think that's a word.
No. It was a lot of. It was mostly gravel.